You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Going back towards, looking up, see ya!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Yes, welcome back. This is Sports and Sorts. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see anything, so let me do that real quick. Actually, my computer can't even see me. That's how blind I was for a second. All right, so we are back to welcome you with Sports and Sorts, episode 125. I am one of the hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
And I am your other host. I'm the Brian Man.
And today we have what happened in the MLB, the ALDS. And where do the Yankees go from there? Obviously, the Red Sox are still playing, so we don't really have to tackle them too much. But we will be talking about the ALDS in general and where the Yankees move on. And the NFL with Thursday night football and broken record by Drew Brees. We will talk about that as well. So we have a lot to talk about with a little sorts as well, as you saw on the subject for the title of the show. It is Pet Sematary trailer. Brian Man just sent me a text right before we went live and was like, we got to talk about this. So I haven't seen it, but Brian Man's excited to talk about it. So we got a great show. Let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Brian Man.
Man, that's 2 days in a row. I hit the right button at the right time. That's awesome. All right. Now let's get into
one more and you're on a winning streak.
All right. So,
Play ball!
We got a little MLB to start off with. And MLB playoffs. Well, the Yankees have been eliminated from the postseason. And, with a team... Oh, man, this is a tough one. This is tough to get through because I was up late last night. Obviously, a lot of Yankees fans were. The game got close, and, of course, they did what they have been doing pretty much all season, which is getting close to scratching, on the door, but not quite opening it and going in. But with this team that lived and died by the homer, and surprise, surprise, the homers disappeared in the postseason, as they usually do. The Red Sox, with timely hitting and offense and, a susceptible, even though they had a susceptible blow pen that I like to refer to as #blowpen, and they had a hard time keeping the Yankees off the board, but they were a bend, don't break kind of deal this year. They brought out Chris Sale late to kind of help, with that situation, and that worked last night. But as we've seen a lot with this team this year, well, like I said, with the Yankees, they can get close but not quite finish the job. And but before we get into all that, I just wanted to kind of start off the show because I'm, not in the greatest mood of today. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First thing is kind of something that fired that a little bit. And not really. I mean, it kind of a little bit was like just adding a little bit of fuel to the fire. Not much. But the Red Sox playing New York in the clubhouse, celebrating their win, way of sticking it to Aaron Judge for playing it in Boston. And to be honest, it really doesn't make much sense because they really should have played Sweet Caroline. But, whatever, good for them. But the main story that I really wanted to get to that was kind of a glimmer of hope here. There was a story about a Yankee fan who dumped a beer on top of an A's fan's head. And I'm sure everybody remembers that. Brian Man remembers that. Do you remember how everybody was trashing the Yankees for being jerks? Of course, everybody was, oh, this is typical Yankees. Well, the interesting thing about this whole thing is that the guy who poured the beer on the A's fan's head instantly had regrets. He ended up taking out the A's fan for some drinks after, after the game. He took the A's fan out for drinks. Then the Yankee fan then reached out again and he actually bought the A's fan a ticket to go to Game 4 in Yankee Stadium, to watch Game 4 in Yankee Stadium. These two guys actually have become pretty good friends. And even after this poor decision by the Yankees fan, who had immediate regrets for his decision, the A's fan, John Spencer, has actually said this on Twitter. He actually said it best. He said, "Thanks, Chris," who was the Yankee fan, "for the ticket tonight." And then he just put, "Make friends, not enemies." It's an unlikely way to kindle a friendship, but it happened, and it's pretty great. I want to thank Max Holiday, who actually pointed this story out to me last night. I was in no mood to read anything last night, but I read it this morning. I thought it was a great story, and I think that is very key. Make friends, not enemies, and I like that story and how it turned out. Do you have anything you want to say about that in general? Because it was glaring. Everybody was trashing the Yankees about all that, and obviously they didn't know the whole story. And now that we know the whole story,
the one thing I hate about when these kind of things happen is an entire fan base gets painted with a broad brush, right? Yeah. One Yankee fan does this, and so they think, okay, well, it's one bad apple and it spoils the bunch. So that means that every Yankee fan is some beer chucking ass clown who, just is gonna toss his beverage on some fan who's in Yankee Stadium rooting for another team. That does not represent the Yankee fan base. No. And those kind of actions don't represent any fan base. Any one individual does not represent an entire fan base. So, the thing I hate the most about that is when you go on social media. That, of course, is the world we live in now. Everybody's got what they call Twitter muscles, right? Everyone's strong on the internet, But the bottom line is, just because one person does this, that does not mean that one person is every Yankee fan. Okay, so I have a story about a Red Sox fan. There's some clown, and I'm going to name him too, because I don't care, because it's all over the internet anyway. His name is Junior Ponce. And he has been labeled as a quote-unquote fat slob from Roxbury, Massachusetts. So you want to know what this guy did? This is a Red Sox fan, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you this story, and I'm going to say, listen, this does not represent every Red Sox fan. I would say the majority of my male friends are Red Sox fans. I have a lot of friends who are Red Sox fans. This guy does not represent any of them. But here's what this guy did after the Red Sox won last night. He took an image of 9/11, of the plane crashing into Tower 2, and on the plane he put a Red Sox logo, and on Tower 1, where the smoke is already billowing out, there's a Yankee logo. So he took the most tragic event in American history, and he used it as a punchline because he's a Red Sox fan. So the Red Sox are a Boeing 747 flying into Tower 2. Some ass clown Yankee fan threw a beer at Craig Kimbrell last night. Do any of these people represent entire fan bases? No, they do not. They're idiots. They're imbeciles. They're one-offs.
They're a part of every fan base.
It's part of every fan base. Yes, every fan base has this guy or this girl, okay? They don't represent an entire fan base. Shane, you and I go to a game. We have a beer, we talk to our friends, we enjoy the game, we go home. We don't throw beers at people. We don't make lewd, ridiculous jokes. We go enjoy the game, we go home. That's 99% of every fan base, okay? And I hate that these stories get out there. I do like the story you just told, though. I'm glad that story had a happy ending. That's nice. And I'm glad that guy who threw that beer, what he did still doesn't make up for the act, but at least he did the right thing. He made it as right as he possibly could have made it. But this kind of thing, this is unacceptable. But do I think it represents every Red Sox fan? No. It doesn't represent any Red Sox fan I know. There's always idiots. There's always going to be idiots. And it's unfortunate that these are the kind of stories that get out. But I just wanted to kind of point out that, for every Yankee fan that does something stupid, there's a Red Sox fan who does something stupid. There's a Seattle Mariners fan who does something stupid.
There's two rabid fan bases. It's with Seattle and all those other teams. They're not as you don't see them as much because to be quite honest, They don't have as many fans.
I'm just saying that every fan base does this kind of dumb crap. It's just always gonna be part of, of sports. It's not even just, I mean, do you know how many, see, now we're in the cell phone age, right? Mm-hmm. So every sporting event that you see, football, God, I see it at football games all the time. People getting in brutal fights in the stands during football games. You got somebody, a fan of a visiting team who's in the stadium, and when a brawl ensues, and of course it's captured on cell phone and immediately gets up on social media. It starts trending, and then boom, millions of views. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen on a daily basis. Yeah. It probably does happen on a daily basis. But I don't know. I really think that kind of stuff just needs to stop being promoted. But as long as there's social media, it's never going to stop. I mean, that stuff's just going to spread like wildfire. It'll go viral all the time.
All right. Well, after all of that, we had a little bit of a happy story. We had a little negative story. But I think the Brian Man pointed out a good fact there, that everybody has stupid fans in their fan base.
They're out there.
Let's try. And I really appreciate what John Spencer, the A's fan who had a beer dumped on his head. He was fine. I mean, obviously he could have went to that bar and got revenge and thrown a beer on, but no, he went there. The Yankee fan, Chris, bought him some drinks. They had a good time. They made a friendship. He reached out to him again. Chris reached out to him again and said, "Hey, I would like to take you to the game with me. I have a Yankee ticket here for you." And he actually took the A's fan to the game. They obviously, the Yankee fan probably didn't have as much of a fun time as the A's fan, but I'm sure the A's fan, it seems like John Spencer's a good dude. He probably was consoling because he understands, how losing a big game like that can feel. And in his saying, make friends, not enemies, is definitely a motto that I like to.
It's a very nice gesture, especially in these times.
Yes, and after what happened to him, I mean, you could very easily just hold a grudge for the rest of your life, and I'm glad that there's people out there like him. All right, so let's get into this.
The state of the Yankees.
Now we have the state of the Yankees here, and our season's over. Our season is over. Yes, the playoffs are still going to go on. I'm going to keep a good eye on everything, particularly because I want to see the Astros play. I think that they are just such a dominant team. I can't wait to see them play. I would love to see the Astros face the Dodgers in the World Series. I think that would be tremendous. I would like to see the Dodgers win, just because I want to see Kershaw get a ring. Now, if the Astros win, that's also awesome because I love Jose Altuve. I'd love to see him get another win. I like Justin Verlander for the most part. There's certain things about him I don't really like, but I do like him as a pitcher. I think Garrett Cole is an amazing pitcher. So I would be excited to see both of those teams match up. Now, going forward, what's next for the Yankees? Well, the Bryman has a bit of a mission statement here, and I don't know exactly what this is all about. But I know for a couple of things, there's a free agent class that's coming out that's quite astonishing. And the Yankees have a ton of payroll to play with next year. So I want to hear what this thing is all about. Then we'll kind of go back for it. Anybody that's listening, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Give us a like, give us a share. We really appreciate it. And, please keep making your comments in the comment section below. And also, if you agree or disagree with anything that the Bryman has to say, please put it in the comments. I'll put it up on the screen. All right. So here we go, Bryman. The Bryman has a 6-step process here that the Yankees need, what they need to do to right the ship. All right, Bryman, here you go. You are up.
This is my 6. I love that. Hey, yes, he got the Police Academy music. Excellent. This is my 6-point solution to save the Yankees. Okay, number 1. We all know starting pitching is going to be an absolute premium. And the Yankees are one of those teams that is absolutely going to get it. We know Sabathia is almost certainly gone. I know he wants to come back with the Yankees. That's probably not going to happen. So here's number 1. Step number 1. Sign Patrick Corbin. I don't know if we want to call him a stud, but a very, very, very good left-handed starting pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Patrick Corbin is going to be 29 years old when he hits free agency. He was 11-7 this year, had a low 3 ERA. He's a guy that would really, really help steady this rotation. And you know what? You can sign him to a 5 or 6 year deal, feel pretty good about it, have the contract expire maybe in his age 35 season. He has an absolute wipeout slider, just a killer put-away pitch. It's one of those pitches that just completely falls off the map. I think that's a huge first step. Is you got to get a guy, because now you know you're going to have Severino, you're going to have Tanaka, okay. You're gonna probably have Justice Sheffield, okay. So there are 2 slots to fill here. Number 1, Patrick Corbin. I would be the first. And this guy, here's the other thing I love about Patrick Corbin. He hasn't even made it a secret how badly he wants to be a Yankee. Not even a secret. You know what number he wears, right? He wears number 46. Guess who else wore number 46? Andrew Eugene Pettit.
I have his. Yeah.
He has
plaque over there.
He has a signed Andy Pettit framed jersey hanging in his house. Patrick Corbin. Okay. This guy loves the Yankees. His family loves the Yankees. They're all incredibly enticed at the possibility of this guy being a Yankee. If the Yankees don't get this guy, I think it's an absolute disaster because they have to have interest. He's a left-handed pitcher pitching to the big part of Yankee Stadium. If there's no interest on the Yankees' part, then I agree with our friend Joe Pacetto. Fire Brian Cashman.
Okay.
So number 1, sign Patrick Corbin. Number 2, sticking in the rotation, bring back Jay Happ. As a Yankee in the regular season, 7-0 with a mid-2 ERA. The guy can clearly handle New York. And you're going to need him. Plus, I love the fact that if this rotation plays out the way I would like for it to play out, you would have 3 lefties starting, pitching to the big part of Yankee Stadium, and then 2 righties to balance it out. So you would have a rotation of Severino, Corbin, Tanaka, Happ, Justice Sheffield. I like this rotation. You've got all of these guys mostly in their 20s, with the exception of Happ, who would be 36. But you know what? You could sign Happ to like a 3-year deal at probably $13 to $15 million per year. He's not going to break the bank, you know. I think plus again, you have a good enough sample size now to know how well he can pitch in Yankee Stadium. He was great for them down the stretch. He was way more than I thought he would be. I didn't even like that trade when they made it. Now I actually want them to keep him. I think he's an absolute must-have as far as bringing a guy back. Number 3. Mm-hmm. Trade Giancarlo Stanton to the Dodgers for a lifetime supply of Cracker Jacks and a roll of duct tape and call it a day.
Trade him to who?
The Dodgers.
Okay.
Because, and the Dodgers. And you'll understand why in a few seconds, because the Dodgers are going to have an opening in their lineup for a power hitter. Giancarlo Stanton cannot handle New York. This was an absolute disastrous trade. And last night was one of those things where you saw Giancarlo Stanton come back. The things that happened to him in the regular season, as I have said all season long, and as I've always said as a sports fan, the things that haunt you in the regular season come back to visit you in the postseason every single time. It always happens. So, if you're the Yankees, this is probably what you have to look forward to if you keep Giancarlo Stanton in your lineup. Now, is a trade like this easier said than done? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of money involved here. But I do think that if there's one team who could handle it, it's the Dodgers. Also, he wants to be a Dodger. He kind of made that clear. So let's send him packing and it won't cost the Dodgers anything other than the money. They're just going to assume the contract just like the Yankees did from the Marlins. It'd be the same thing. That's number 3. Number 4. And you'll see where this starts to kind of take shape, this plan here. Mm-hmm. You're going to probably have Luke Voit at first base. I would imagine that they're going to give Bird a shot. But I would sign Jed Lowry from the Oakland A's to actually be a platoon first base player. Jed Lowry is in his age 35. He's in his age 35 season. He may be even 36 when he hits free agency. So this is the guy that you're signing to a long-term deal. But I like Jed Lowry. I know he doesn't hit for a lot of average, and he's not a huge on-base percentage guy, but he is a pesky, annoying little player. He does have a little bit of pop in his bat. He is a former Red Sox, which I like, because I love the idea of guys being able to come back and haunt their former teams, especially in the postseason. But if you watch Jed Lowry, he's a tough out. I know he's only a 267 hitter this year, but he's a tough out. And I like the versatility of him, too. Because you could put him at first base and platoon him with Voit, but he can play all over that infield. He can play anywhere. He can play third. He can play second. You wouldn't need him at short probably, but he can play there too. So I'd sign Jed Lowrie, bring him on board. You got enough home run hitters on this team, even with Stanton gone. But Jed Lowrie will give you some pop anyway, because he'll hit probably 20 home runs, especially in Yankee Stadium. Number 5, here's the big one. Here's the big signing. You know they're going to spend money. The Yankees are going to have at least 30-some-odd million coming off the books this year. If they are able to trade Stanton, you can replace that salary with this guy, Manny Machado. Sign Manny Machado, put him at third base, Jed Lowrie at first base. Andujar could be your DH/platoon at third/platoon at first. You'll have no problem getting Miguel Andujar into this lineup. Plus, again, now you've got Stanton gone. Okay? Andujar is obviously not a great defensive third baseman. Ideally, the best place for him would be the platoon at first, maybe in a three-way platoon with Voit and with Jed Lowrie. You can still play him at third and give, Manny Machado a blow every now and then. But primarily, Andujar as a DH can't do any damage to you on the field. So you sign Machado, you put him at third, he'll play there for the Yankees. You won't have any problem with that. Okay? Number 6, the last one, just because I don't know what the left field situation is going to be for the Yankees, I don't think they're going to bring Brett Gardner back. We don't know about the health of Clint Frazier. Bring Andrew McCutchen back. This is a little bit of a homer pick for me because Andrew McCutchen is basically my favorite player. You would essentially have my two favorite players in baseball, Clint Frazier and Andrew McCutchen, basically playing left field for the Yankees. And again, we don't know the kind of condition, all right, that Frazier is going to be in, but you hope that he's going to be somewhat healthy enough to be. If he could be the left fielder, to me that's ideal. But is that likely? I don't know. Probably not. So that is my 6-point plan to save the Yankees this offseason. And let me just give you a rundown of what this Yankees lineup would look like, okay, if this kind of comes to fruition. Batting first, playing left field, would be Andrew McCutchen. Batting second, playing right field, Aaron Judge. Batting third, playing third base, Manny Machado. Batting fourth, the catcher, Gary Sanchez. Batting fifth, the shortstop, Didi Gregorius. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, Miguel Andujar. Batting seventh, the first baseman, Jed Lowrie. Batting eighth, the center fielder, Aaron Hicks. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Gleyber Torres. That would be your Yankees lineup. Your starting pitching, again, Severino, Corbin, Tanaka, Happ, Sheffield. Your bullpen, here's where you're going to take a little bit of a hit because you're probably going to lose some guys because, again, you can't spend. You only have so much money you can spend. We know that the Yankees, with resetting the tax threshold, are going to spend a ton of money this offseason. There's no doubt about it. But in your bullpen, you're probably going to have Holder, Chad Green, Chapman, Betances, and then I think you're probably going to have maybe Canely, Domingo Germán, Johnny Lasagna, and maybe A.J. Cole. And on your bench, you're going to have Romine. I would try and keep Adeiny Echeverria because I think he's a really, really good – I like him a lot. He really flashed leather, and he is a guy that I would love to see as a defensive specialist late in innings, just like the Yankees did this year. And then you'll have Voit and Clint Frazier. And that is my Yankees team going into 2019.
Okay.
There's a lot to unpack there. Let me take a little drink of water. That was a whole lot of talking. But
yes. Yeah, it was your 6 steps to correct the Yankee ship. All right.
Thoughts. I would like your thoughts.
My thoughts are, 1, as you had mentioned, it's going to be almost impossible to unload Giancarlo Stanton.
Yes, that's the hardest part of all of this.
The Dodgers would – there's a lot of, stuff up in the air with the Dodgers right now. The Dodgers have so many issues going forward because as of right now, obviously the Clayton Kershaw, there's an opt-out chance there. It's unlikely, but there is an opt-out chance. Obviously they're likely going to lose Manny Machado this year. That's going to open up some stuff. You have Turner, who's getting older. You have a lot of players in general that their team is just, it's not looking good for the long term. So they have to kind of rebuild. And I do think that Stanton going there could help them for a long-term solution because obviously he has a contract forever and he is a big bat. The problem is, are they going to want to spend that money on him because that's so much money that what are they going to do for the short term? Yeah. And it doesn't seem like this is a team that's really all about not trying to make the playoffs year after year after year. I don't think that they're in the position right now to actually make this deal. Now, if they do seem like the most likely candidate, I just don't know how likely of a chance it's going to happen.
I agree. I mean, it's the one thing that you kind of can't control
that
because
hinges
you can't
a lot,
force
though,
the
'cause, like-
Dodgers. No, you're right. I mean, my whole offseason plan almost hinges on that.
Right.
But listen, I wanted to put together a plan that I thought was viable and somewhat realistic, and I think I did that.
So
I mean,
now-
whether or not
and the-
any of it comes to fruition, who knows?
The other side of Giancarlo Stanton. Now, I'm going to be an optimist here. It's not necessarily 100% how I feel, but I do believe Stanton led the team in home runs. He led them in RBIs this year. And granted, that's a regular season stat. And he didn't perform well. He he did what he did. He either went big or went home, and he went home a lot more than he did. Then he went big fly because he ended up striking out a ton, struck out a lot in big spots. But that's kind of what you expect. And we saw this from other Yankee heroes in the past. Like Tino Martinez had woeful series against people. All these Yankee greats had really bad series, but ended up having big clutch moments, and it took time. And those Yankee teams are more well balanced, which is why that's the only reason why I wouldn't mind seeing Stanton gone, is because it would free it up and help make it more well balanced. That's really the only reason why I'd want him gone. Other than that, I think it makes sense to keep him. He's going to provide you 40 home runs, 100 plus RBIs every single year. He's going to help you get to the postseason, and you're going to have to deal with his strikeouts and occasional home run because that's just who he is. Now, there is a chance that he could correct it a little bit, maybe get a little bit better as a hitter, but because he performed better in Miami, but that's Miami, and people can switch to him because if he hits a 2 or 3 run home run, they're still likely to overcome that in Miami against Miami.
And speaking of strikeouts, though, did you notice that my 6-point solution really helped get rid of a lot of the strikeouts in this lineup? Stanton out, Manny Machado, despite what you might think, especially given his numbers, does not strike out a lot.
No, I know he doesn't. Yeah,
Jed Lowry,
he doesn't walk a lot either.
Was 120 strikeouts. I mean, it's not. This lineup is a lot less strikeout heavy with some of these additions and subtractions.
Yeah. So for me, he is an option, obviously. Jed Lowry, I don't like him because he spent more of his career on the DL than anywhere else, and I wouldn't want to have to count on him just because he had one good year last year.
Well, and that's the point. Like, you really kind of wouldn't have to because you would have Voit.
But then why sign him? Because as of right now, you're loaded. I mean, you can
make a comment about anybody in terms of injuries.
With that plan, you have Voit, Bird, and Andujar all trying to alternate between first, and then Jed Lowry. Like, that's a lot to kind of mix in.
Well, but again, though, I see Jed Lowry, although I would primarily put him at first, mostly because of his age too. Yeah. But I still see him as a guy that you could move around the infield to. I would just love to see Jed Lowry get 500 to 550 plate appearances as a Yankee because I think he could do some damage in that stadium. But I don't think he would. But the good part is he wouldn't strike out a lot, though.
Yeah.
I just, look, there are a lot of issues this offseason. I mean, but to me, the biggest two things, though, are those starting pitchers. If nothing else, you walk away with Corbin and Happ, that's pretty much a successful offseason because the chances of you being able to unload Stanton are slim.
Now, so I do have an issue with Happ as well. Not because I don't love him. I think he pitched great for us this year. My problem with Happ is that he's getting older. The guy is, I think he's going to be going on year 36, 37.
He'll be 36.
He's going to be 36 in like a week. So like he's going to be getting closer to 37. He's getting up there in age. And
sure,
and granted,
you're looking at a 2 to 3 year deal for him.
Granted,
Max.
he has pitched well as a Yankee, but if you look over his last 3 years, his ERA has gone up each year. It went from I think 3.1 to 3.5, and this year overall it was like almost 3.7. So it keeps climbing up because he's getting older. He's losing velocity. It's not going to get any better for him. But as a number 5, I'd be fine. Even if a number 4, I'm fine.
That's how I envision him. Is there 4?
But
that's their 4.
That could pose some issues just because he's getting up there in age with injury and getting smacked around. Like so there's that. So anyway, this is use the word platoon a lot. I use the word platoon a lot. Well, sometimes when you're talking about platooning. So I think that as far as that goes, J.A. Happ signing, I like J.A. Happ a lot. I do. I just don't know if he's the right fit on the Yankee team. Plus we have so many young pitchers in the farm system, like Chance Adams. You have Justice Sheffield that need to start making their way up there. They're getting to the point where they're going to be, by the time they get brought up, they're going to be like 27 years old. And obviously Justice Sheffield was in your lineup, your rotation. That's great. But you have Chance Adams. Now I think I think more likely than possibly getting someone like Jed Lowry. I think that they make a serious effort to unload a lot of that young talent, and they go after someone like Mad Bum. And I know that's your favorite. He's your favorite pitcher. He's the brawny man. He's the man.
You're certainly speaking my language now.
I would not be surprised because the Giants are nowhere close. They are nowhere close to being good again. They have Madison Bumgarner, and they have a bunch of, Hunter Pence is going to be a free agent next year. They just don't have a lot of talent. And I feel like a way to reload quick is to go through the Yankees farm system. And I think you're going to have to unload people like Clint Frazier, and then you're going to unload Chance Adams, and you're going to unload many other players. And
probably Sheffield.
I think they could keep Sheffield. They could keep either Chance or Sheffield. One of those two guys I think they could keep. And I think that either way, that's good. As long as you can keep one of those two young pitchers. If you have to keep Florial as well, because they are going to need that other outfielder coming up in the next couple of years. All right. So, Bumgarner is going to be, I think, a key acquisition if they can get him, if he's even close to available. But if the Giants really want to kind of move forward, that's what they need to do. Corbin, I think, is a guarantee. That's a slam dunk. There is no doubt in my mind he's going to be signed within the first week. And they can sign people, if not the first day.
If he's not a Yankee, I will be shocked. I will be shocked. Legitimately shocked. That has to be a slam dunk signing for them. Yeah. He fits the bill perfectly for this team, for the stadium, his age. Everything is perfect. They have the slot for him with an aging CC Sabathia being moved out. If they don't sign him, again, I'm with Joe. If they can't sign Patrick Corbin, who wants to be a Yankee, the proof is the number on his back. If you can't sign him, you have to get rid of Brian Cashman, because that's just a massive, massive fail if you can't get Patrick Corbin. The guy wants to be a Yankee. It's so obvious. It's just, that's the one signing they can't blow. Machado, I can understand. If you can't, because there's going to be a lot of teams competing for Machado. There'll be a lot of teams competing for Corbin too. He's a lefty starting pitcher. But the guy wants to actually be a Yankee. He can't even hide it.
Yeah.
It's a known fact.
Manny Machado has kind of said that too. If they get Manny Machado, I will be happy. I'll be very happy. That's not something that I'm going to be angry about whatsoever. That'll be exciting.
And here's the other thing with Corbin. It's not like the Yankees are going to be fighting this luxury tax issue. They have a ton of money to spend this offseason, and they will spend it.
Especially if they get rid of Stanton. If they get rid of Stanton on top of that,
but again, my plan basically, because let's be honest, I have signed a lot of guys here.
If they're able to get rid of Stanton, and then they can trade for someone like Madison Bumgarner, Bumgarner then is going to be locked up as a Yankee for life. That's what they're going to do.
Well, for the rest of his career.
By
the way, I'm completely on board with that if they can make it happen. I understand that the cost is high, but the reward, the potential reward, is massive. He'd be your guy. He'd be starting game one of every postseason series.
Yes,
without a doubt.
And it wouldn't be bad to have someone like him, and then Tanaka, and then Severino, and then if Corbin, right. It's just it's like that is an embarrassment of riches. An embarrassment of riches that I would love. All right. Yeah. So overall, I don't have a ton of problems with that. I do not like the Jed Lowry signing just because I think they have enough to kind of, they have enough to platoon with out there. There's just so much to do. They have so many options.
Platoon.
They have so many options at first base with Voit and Bird. And, Bird is another one of those guys that could get traded to the Giants, in that deal, and, a change of scenery.
He could use a fresh start, ship him across the country.
They have a lot of options. Brandon's very happy that we both were able to say platoon and fit it into the and then Brian just kind of threw it out.
You're welcome.
But yeah, a lot of platooning out there, particularly with Jed Lowry. If they have
platoon.
It's better than moist, that's for sure.
Oh, don't say that.
But there are a ton of free agents next year. A ton.
Yes.
Now, I want to know if anybody
One of the best
out there,
free agent classes I've ever seen.
who else thinks that, who else should be signed for their team? I mean, obviously you said Jed Lauer, he's available. Daniel Murphy's available. You have people.
I don't want Daniel Murphy. That guy's a homophobe.
Steve Pierce is available. Mark Reynolds, he's another serviceable platoon guy. Hanram is available. You have catchers.
Hanram. Oh my God.
Yeah, you have.
They could have had him during the season.
Yasmani Grandal, he's available. Wilson Ramos is available. There's a lot of catchers. Jonathan Lucroy is available. As far as second baseman goes, obviously you said Jed Lowry, but you also have Asdrubal Cabrera, DJ LeMahieu. He's a very talented second baseman. He's a hitting machine. And then you have third basemen. You have Josh Donaldson.
I like Eduardo Escobar.
Josh Donaldson. Eduardo Escobar is available. Josh Donaldson is available. Adrian Beltre likely going to retire. You could get Chase Headley back. You want him? Shortstop, you have Manny Machado, who could also play third. Elvis Andrus, he can opt out of a 4-year deal. He's not going to do that. Adine Echeverria, I would like to have Echeverria back. He would be a good person to have back as a platoon guy.
Absolutely.
Left fielders, you have Michael Brantley. Curtis Granderson's out there again.
I like Michael Brantley, but he can't stay healthy.
Matt Joyce, he was healthy. He was pretty healthy this year for the most part.
He was, but
and he played well.
I do like him though.
Center fielders. Now
Really
this is the real big key, because something like center field is something that we're struggling with, and I like this guy so much, and I just wish he could stay healthy. And that's AJ Pollock. He is available next year. He's 31 years old. If you could sign him for a cheap deal because he's been injured so much, get him for like a 2 or 3 year deal at about 15 to 20 tops per year, he might be a good option in center field because he can cover ground, he can steal bases, he can do it all, and that would be good. I know that Hicks played very well for this year, but I am just not on the Hicks bandwagon, and I never have been. All right, so I'll put this on the screen. Just
Gross.
Because Mark says moist platoon. I don't think anybody wants a moist platoon. All right.
We were up to like 15 or 16 live viewers, and then it went down to 10 after Mark
moist platoon. So we have obviously right fielders this year. Bryce Harper, he's available. Andrew McCutchen available. You have people like more I guess weaker players like Lonnie Chisenhall. You have Jason Hayward. Cargo is available. Nick Markakis has always been a good hitter. He was actually I probably got some MVP votes.
I love Nick Markakis.
He's 35 right now though, so that's gotten up there. But the pitching side is where it's going to be crazy because not only do they have Patrick Corbin that's out there. You know who else is available that you love? Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah,
31 years old.
I saw that. Man, if you had said that to me 2 years ago, I would have been all over it. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, honestly, if I had to choose between him and Corbin, I actually would prefer Corbin.
You could choose both.
Well, I mean, if you actually said you could have Corbin and Keuchel
instead of Happ
over Corbin and Happ, then yes, I would do. Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But there's pitchers out there. There's Derek Holland, who's a serviceable lefty. You have Hyunjin Ryu, he's out there. Matt Harvey is out there. Obviously Nathan Eovaldi, which I know that a couple people were saying in the Yankee text group that we are a part of. That somebody actually put out there. He said that they are very interested in bringing back Nathan Eovaldi to the Yankees. I am not one of those guys. As far as like that goes, you have Sonny Gray, who also could be dealt in that Madison Bumgarner deal if you'd like.
That would be a great spot for him too, by the way. Great spot.
Right. So you have him, Nathan Eovaldi. Like the Yankees have an abundance of talent to be able to deal. So, but if you have Nathan Eovaldi come back, if you look at Nathan Eovaldi's time as a Yankee, you look at Sonny Gray's time as a Yankee, it's almost identical.
It's a hard pass.
And I would rather have Sonny Gray. I mean, they're the same age, but he has better stuff. He honestly has better stuff. Yeah. And I just think this last year was like an aberration. Like it's not something that normally happens. This is one of those, which one of these does not look like the other? And this happens to be one of those years that it just doesn't look like the rest of the back of his baseball card.
That's going to be the hardest of passes on Nate Eovaldi. That's fine. I'm good. We're done. We're done there.
So Don Matillo said he will never shave his beard for the Yanks, talking about Keuchel.
That's probably true.
And Josh actually says Dallas would look interesting with his Yankees clean shave. I
don't see it. I don't see that though, to be honest.
I don't see it. But he would absolutely shave his beard in a heartbeat because you have the chance to win another championship with another team.
If you're gonna and take Yankee money,
yes.
he'd do it.
Yeah,
of course he'd do it.
Yeah.
Let's remember, guys, sports is a business first before anything. Okay,
true.
and Dallas Keuchel, like any other starting left-handed pitcher, is a businessman.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Facial hair.
Other than that, I mean, there are like I said, there's so many free agents that are out there, and then you can get to the bullpen, which Adam Ottavino, Familia, who I have no interest in, Robertson's going to be available again. Craig Kimbrell's going to be available. Sergio Romo, Oliver Perez, who's been kind of
I'd love to bring Robertson back. I just don't know what the cost would be.
Yeah, I mean, you have Clippard, who's out there. I know you don't like Clippard.
No!
Andrew Miller's going to be available. Kelvin Herrera is going to be available. Bud Norris is going to be available. There are a ton of relieving arms. I mean, this is going to be an offseason for the ages.
It's going to be nuts.
It's going to be, you're going to see
and the
tons
Yankees
of
are going to be all in on it. So if you're a Yankee fan and you love the Yankees spending money, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride because they're going to spend big this offseason.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. They reset this luxury tax threshold for a reason. It wasn't to be a low budget team. It was to go nuts this year. They have set themselves up for this year for about 3 years now, I would say. This plan has been in the works. So, and they are still slightly ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
So they are ready. They are locked and loaded. They did all of this for a reason.
Yep.
They're going to spend, and they're going to spend big. And if you're a Yankee fan, you're probably going to like it.
Well, we have a couple more minutes here, but no. So Mark actually posts, is everyone over Harper? I am one of those guys that was never into Harper. I can see how he fits in the Yankee lineup at first base in particular, or maybe as a left fielder if they somehow part with Stanton. But I don't see it as a great fit. It's a little bit more of the same, except for he walks a ton more. He obviously gets on base a lot with all those walks. He has the potential to hit for high average and high home runs, walk a ton, and knock in a lot of RBIs. I mean, he has the potential to do that. He hasn't really proven that. Plus, he's been hurt a lot. So all of that stuff, I just don't see it being a perfect fit.
You know how I feel about Harper. I'm a big Harper fan. I love the way he plays. To me, he's just a special guy with an it factor. The problem there is, look, if my plan goes according to plan and they are able to unload Giancarlo Stanton, you do have room to add another, if you want to call it like in NBA terms, like a max contract, which would be Machado. But to me, like if you have to choose between Machado and Harper, the better overall choice is probably Machado. Yeah. I mean, he just makes more sense and he checks more boxes for the Yankees than Bryce Harper would, you know? Yeah. And I love Bryce Harper. It's hard for me to say. But Machado is a really special player. He's a great defensive third baseman. He'd really make a big difference over there at third base. And if you could get Andahar out of that part of the infield, you know, I just think it would make that left side of the infield for the Yankees defensively much better. And let's be honest, defense was a problem for this Yankee team this year. So it's one of the reasons why they lost.
Scott Satolino, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yes, that's
Brian
correct.
will never shave his beard.
He's absolutely correct.
You've shaven your beard before. I've seen you.
Only when I lost a bet to Scott Satolino was the last time I shaved my beard.
Hey, Joe Pacentos keeps saying, "Stop saying Machado, please."
Well, he wants Harper.
He wants Harper.
Yeah. He wants Harper, and listen. I mean, if they get Harper, I'm not going to be disappointed. I just wonder where you're putting him. To me, it's got to be first base. It's got to be first base.
First base or left field if you get rid of Stanton. I mean, it would be weird. It'd be good to have a breakup with a left-handed bat if you had Judge, Harper, Stanton.
But here's the problem. I don't see. Again, you're talking about like these ideas of max contracts. Can you have Stanton and Harper or a Stanton and Machado together? I just don't see it. That's so much. That is $60 million dedicated to two players.
All right, we have one more here.
I'm not saying that's not Yankee-esque, but that's not fiscally responsible.
Any thoughts at all on the fire Boone chatter? Give it quick. Wrap it up in about 30 seconds. Let's see what you got.
I mean, who are you going to replace him with? I mean, Buck Showalter, John Gibbons. Look, I mean, don't get me wrong. See, I actually would love to have Buck Showalter back because I feel like he could finish. There's unfinished business for him with the Yankees, and I feel like he's actually a really good hybrid manager. Like, he's a disciplinarian, but he knows the game like the back of his hand. But I actually also think he relates pretty well to these younger players, believe it or not. I think he'd be great. It's not happening. The Yankees won 100 games this year. Aaron Boone is coming back whether we like it or not.
Which is unfortunate because I would be absolutely ready to fire him, and I would like to have Buck Showalter as our manager and David Cohn as our pitching coach or a bench coach. And let's move forward there and let's go forward. But they're just not going to – they're probably not going to do it because – Brian Cashman and the Yankees brass was able to manipulate Boone to basically do whatever they wanted. And I think that's what they like. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be the greatest for long-term success, but we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
I am all about just getting rid of Boone. I don't like him at all as a Yankee manager. I don't like him as a manager in general for any team. I think maybe down the road he could start off as a bench coach or a third base coach or something along the lines of that. But other than that, he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it.
No, you handed the keys to the Ferrari to a neophyte, to a guy who had never even coached on any level in Major League Baseball. I mean, and you're the New York Yankees. I mean, on the surface, especially in hindsight, you go back and you're like, this is like the most asinine thing to hand the keys to this vehicle to this guy whose last experience before becoming Yankee manager was sitting in an ESPN booth with Alex Rodriguez of all people.
I would rather have Alex Rodriguez as a manager, actually.
Well, at least he was a great player, and he's been around.
Not only that, but he's been well known. He's been well regarded as being one of the most knowledgeable people about baseball.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't want him as their manager either because he tried to sue the Yankees. So screw him.
Well, money's money. It's a business, like you said. Business is business. All right. Last thing before we're going to head over to our commercial in just a few seconds. But Don Mativa says Harper has presence, though. There's something to say for that. There is something to say for that. If he ends up being a Yankee, I would be fine with it. It's just not who I would choose. I see where he could fit. It just doesn't seem as much of a cohesive unit as you would like. I'm waiting for Brandon to talk about how I just said unit. So
the one thing I would say,
A-Rod is the worst announcer. Yes,
he's not good.
He is bad.
The one thing I would say is if you're a Yankee fan, there's a pretty high probability, I would say, that they're going to get one of those two guys, whether it's Harper or Machado. Yeah. I just don't know what Cashman has in mind and what his plan is, but I would be shocked if they didn't get one of them.
Yeah. Bigger need is probably in the infield at third. I mean, then you have a Gold Glove third baseman.
I think Machado's the smarter move, but
which would be fine.
I wouldn't be upset with either of them, really.
All right. We're going to quickly head on over to our commercial real quick. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this.
Gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
All right, we are back, and we are going to be heading right into the NFL. We have a little bit of NFL to talk about before we wrap up. We got to wrap up the show in about 10 minutes. So first thing we're going to talk about is Thursday night. Thursday night football happens tomorrow night. Eagles at Giants. And for me, there's a couple of ways that you could go with this game. One is taking the Eagles because you'd be right to do so. Two, take the Giants because the NFC East is just an incredibly terrible division right now, and nobody can seem to separate themselves. But I do think it would be absolutely hilarious if after Week 6, every team in this division, which looked to be the most competitive division in all of football, they're all sitting at 2 wins. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. But the Eagles are now going to be going without Jay Ajayi. He's gone for the rest of the year, torn ACL. And they're going to seemingly have to rely, particularly on this next game, on Wendell Smallwood as their running back. That's not great.
No.
They do have Corey Clement for future weeks, but on the short week, they're not likely to rush him back from injury. This is, technically this is football, so they could rush him back and not really care if he gets hurt because they might already be working on looking on a trade out there right now and working on that to replace Jay Ajayi. So we'll see how that goes. But the Eagles' O-line has been, showing glimpses of what they were last year. Their defense is getting a little bit better. So their team is just starting to get rid of the Super Bowl hangover that they've had and starting to play a little bit better. They're starting to click. And I only expect Carson Wentz, a man who is so incredible. He once challenged Lance Armstrong to a game of who has more testicles, and Carson Wentz won by 5. Well, I expect this incredible, tough human being to go out there and lead this team to victory. And now, especially that the rust is all knocked off. And if you actually had to do this, if you add all of that into the fact that Odell Beckham Jr. is seemingly trying to push Eli out the door, the Giants are a complete chaos right now, which probably means that they're going to end up winning. But I'm going to take the Eagles 28-17 tomorrow night, playing against the Giants at home. All this chaos. I think that the Giants come out again with only one win for the season.
You're not going to like this because I'm with you, which means it won't allow you to gain any ground on me. I have this game being close. That didn't work out well
for me on the Redskins. I took the Redskins. I was like,
that's right. Plus, I jumped another game on you there. Yeah. This one, just so we can kind of keep moving things along, because I do want to talk about that a little bit too. Saints Redskins. I agree with pretty much everything you said. It's just one mess versus another mess. That one mess is hotter than the other. I think the Giants are just a team that's kind of in a tailspin right now. I have this game being a really ugly, grotesque thing to watch.
Oh, really?
Perfect for this time of year, given that Halloween I think it's going to play out like an ugly horror story. And I've got it 22-19 Eagles.
Wow. You really don't expect the Eagles to do much, huh? All right. Okay. All right. So you have if anybody has their scores that they want to put out there, go ahead and throw them in the comments. And once again, go ahead and give us a little thumbs up on our video, comment, go ahead, share, do all that stuff. Thank you for getting the word out. Had quite a few views so far today. All right. So now we're going to head on over to Drew Brees. We have a few seconds left. Literally a few seconds. Drew Brees, he breaks the all-time passing record for yards, and does so as only Drew Brees can, because he
with a touchdown.
He's amazing with was it 69-yard touchdown or something ridiculous?
62, I think.
Something ridiculous. Yeah. This guy is so amazing, and it's unfortunate that he's not going to ever really probably creep into the top 4 greatest quarterbacks of all time. And when he retires, he will likely go down with most passing yards, most touchdowns. And although he only has one Super Bowl, he could potentially get another one over the next couple of years. But he's likely to go with only one Super Bowl. And he is a great dude and has overcome so much adversity, with his, separated his, like he ripped his shoulder basically where he was like off his body. He came back from that. He got drafted to San Diego, and they ended up taking Phillip Rivers and basically saying, we're going to play Phillip Rivers instead of you, and then we're going to trade you. And then, obviously he had the shoulder issue, came back from the shoulder issue, ended up doing that, went to the Saints. The Saints were a terrible team, and then he ended up taking him on his back, ended up doing it. He also had to hurt them a little bit with his big contract that he took. But with all that being said, the dude is a great guy, great for the sport, amazing talent, and a super duper, he's an amazing leader of men. Yeah. So
yes,
it's unfortunate that he's not going to be in the top 4 greatest of all time, but maybe he will. If he gets another Super Bowl, maybe.
I disagree with that. But yes, okay, I do agree with you that a lot of it is contingent on him getting another Super Bowl. If he gets another Super Bowl, then he's in a really rarefied air conversation. But let me just give you the tale of the tape for Drew Brees and why I think his legacy, maybe even regardless of another Super Bowl, is top 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. He is number one all-time in completion percentage at 67.2%. He is number one all-time in completion, 6,370. He is number one all-time in passing yards, 72,103. He's currently number 4 in passing touchdowns, but before it's all said and done, he will either be number 1 or number 2, currently sitting at 499. And by the end of this year, him and Brady will either be 2 or 3 by the end of this year. And then next year he would catch Manning. He is a Super Bowl champion. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's an 11-time Pro Bowler. He was an SI Man of the Year. He was a Comeback Player of the Year. He's a 7-time NFL passing yards leader and a 4-time passing touchdowns leader. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that he lifted an entire hurricane-ravaged city on his back and helped them through a really difficult time. One of the best community men you'll ever see. Like you said, a great leader of men, just a great guy, a great family man, an absolute in a sports world devoid of role models.
Yeah.
He is an exception to that rule.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, character should count for something. I would factor that into it. I would say he is an all-time top 3 or 4 quarterback when it's all said and done. I really believe he is.
He is great, and it'll be interesting to see where he lands because having only that one Super Bowl, I don't think he's ever won an MVP either.
No, not a regular season MVP.
Yeah,
no.
which is crazy to me.
Yeah, does.
I mean, he had multiple 5,000-yard seasons. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, it does hurt because when you have guys like Brady and Manning who have won multiple, it certainly puts them higher.
Yeah,
but. And I mean, can't argue with a lot of this other stuff, though.
Brady never really had many losing seasons. Peyton Manning never had really many losing seasons. I mean, they had 3 back-to-back, 7 and 9 seasons, I think. Or, something along those lines. I mean, that's part of the contract because when you sign somebody that much money, it's tough to build your defense.
It's part of the conversation, yes.
So it's good. I'm glad he got his money. He's a great guy. So let's see. Let's see. Being on the Saints also lowers his all-time rank.
Yes.
Not really, because it actually helps him because of what he did. But anyway, other than that, you wanted to talk about Pet Sematary real quick. Go ahead.
Oh, man. So this trailer dropped, I think, about 2 hours ago. Oh, it looks so good. And I was a fan. I mean, Pet Sematary is obviously one of Stephen King's all-time books. But it looks really good. It looks really creepy. The trailer sold me. I love John Lithgow. I mean, it's if you know the book, if you've even seen the first movie, I mean, you know how it all plays out with the cat Churchill and the kid Gage, and you know how it all plays out. Yeah. This isn't a new story by any stretch, but then again, neither was it. And when they remade it, that was to me like almost a borderline horror masterpiece. I thought that was such a great iteration. And this one looks like it's going to be the same kind of thing. It's going to be on the same trajectory. Check out that trailer today. I will absolutely be at that movie probably opening weekend in April of 2019.
Brian recommends going to watch that trailer in this edition of the Sports and Sorts.
Yeah, and then there was another trailer I saw this morning too. I think it was like a Netflix movie. I think it was called The Christmas Chronicles, where Kurt Russell plays Santa Claus, and actually looked really entertaining. Check that out too.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening today. Remember, you can find us on www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com. You can find us anywhere podcasts are played: iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those Stitcher, Spreaker, all that stuff. You can also find us Facebook Live, where we go at facebook.com/Shane and the Bry Man, where we go live every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Mondays and Saturdays at 9:45 a.m., Saturdays at 11 a.m., and where you can also find us on Twitter at Shane and Bryman. You can find me on Twitter at Einhornisfinkel.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
We hope you had a good time listening today. It was great chatting with everybody in the comments today, especially about the Yankees, figuring out what they're going to do, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for everyone for commenting. And please, like I said, go ahead, give us a thumbs up, share the video. We will be posting our podcast in probably about a half hour, 45 minutes. So if you missed some, you can always check it out there. Listen on your drive home or during the lunch break, whatever you want. And on top of that, we can also... There was something else I was going to say. I don't remember. Doesn't really matter.
I like beer?
What?
I like beer!
We'll
Stay
see you guys later.
We'll see you Saturday.
Have a good week. Bye. It's your jam. You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.